to the Fantasy Pavilion, your home for fantasy sports.
You're like a circle that floats around me.
Team here, you all in the comments, let me know what you all think. Poke some holes, right? Losh, size, he's much. Guys, thanks for watching. Losh. All right, time to go. Please tell the people the team that you back to, please.
Well, I can show you. That one right there.
God. I'm gonna edit that out in post, right?
Welcome to the Fantasy Pavilion. We go live in 10. Number 9.
8. Yo! 7.
Number 6.
5.
Entry.
Yes, guys, welcome back to the Fantasy Pavilion, your home for fantasy sport. Now, of course, we are having an FA Cup break right now, so football does not resume until next week. We just wanted to do a quick recap of the past game week and then just take a sneak peek into the upcoming double game weeks. A lot of action to unfold, and we are now at the halfway stage of the season. So we'll just take a quick gander at what took place on the weekend and go from there. Of course, let us know your scores. How did your captains fare for this particular game week? Are you at the rank you want to be right now? Have you crossed the 1,000 mark? I know a lot of people are showing that they crossed the 1,000 mark, and we also have some people that felt they had a better gain since the World Cup resumption, after the break. So let's take a quick gander at what we had really quickly. Not to me, of course, but the biggest highlight for the whole weekend, of course, was Haaland's hat-trick. He has been on a bit of not a dry spell, but not racking up the goals or the amount of goals that he did in the start of the season. But hat-trick nonetheless, Gundogan, De Bruyne, and Mahrez assisting in that. Of course, we had the biggest game of the weekend, Arsenal facing Man U, and Arsenal coming away 3-2. Victors, and of course Eddie Nketiah with a double. I would love to see what his TSB is. He's at 5.7%. That may rise, especially with some of the fixtures that they have coming up. They also have a double game week coming up, so maybe Nketiah might be on everyone's watch list for now. Of course, Rashford is in rip-roaring form right now. Can't stop him from scoring. Even scored today in the Carling Cup semi-final against Nottingham Forest. So definitely someone to have in your team, right? Take him off that watch list and put him on your team. We'll take a look ahead just now at the fixtures of some of these players and see who are the best going forward for some the upcoming game weeks. Of course, we had a London Derby, Spurs beating Fulham, and of course, Kane doing Kane things, Kane scoring as usual. So back to the regular scheduled programming for all the Kane owners. And Son, a rare return for Son. Son has been off the boil this season, not something that we're accustomed to with Son, but good to see him back on the points tally. Of course, very interestingly, we had Leicester 2, Brighton 2. But again, regular scheduled programming, me 2 more on the score sheet. Ferguson, someone that we've discussed and is on most of our watch list right now. Me, be someone to put now on the team. Ferguson doing well again, coming back with another return at Estupinian with a brace of assists, and I believe we did put him on our team from last week. Or Brighton and Barnes with a goal each for Leicester. Tielemans, I did. I was not too convinced, but Tielemans did prove me wrong with an assist, and of course Stones. So not too bad there. And of course, well, interestingly enough, Newcastle. So Newcastle has the best defensive record. I think they have 16 clean sheets. But this is their second goalless game. in as many, right? Second straight. So I'm not particularly worried, but of course we did start looking at the possibilities of having a double Newcastle defense. So of course, if you did do that, you would have been in the points and in the driving seat. So that's not too bad at all. So let's just take a gander at how the league. Hey, big up Kapil all the time. Thanks for coming through, bro. So Kapil, how much points are you on? Talk to us. How was this game week? Kapil in the top 10 for Trinidad. So well done there, Kapil. Let's take a quick good look now at our league. So the Fantasy Pavilion, Rabs League. Let's see if there's any changes. And of course, I'll show you my points as well. So of course, Ian still on top, right? Number 1, but only ahead by 1 point over, as I just mentioned, Kapil there, up top, right behind him with 1 point behind. Let's see what Ian went with this week. So Ian made 77 points. So he had a Ward, which was a decent shout. So Ward, nothing from White, of course, conceded 2 goals. He had Stones and Trippier. He had Martinelli, De Bruyne, Aaron, Rashford in the midfield. He had Kane, of course, he captained Haaland, and had Mitrovic. And nothing to cry about on the bench, maybe just having Kepa instead of Ward. That would have been the only thing he might have been disappointed, keeping him out of the 80-point bracket. But he's doing very well. His overall rank is 16K. That is crazy. And he is currently number 21 in Trinidad and Tobago. Crazy. So well done there, Ian. And all the best moving forward. We can take a quick look at Kapil. Kapil here with us. So Kapil, 91 points. Wow, well done. Well done, bro. You're really killing it this season. He has a rank of 29K. He had Kepa. So he started Kepa. He went with Kepa. He had Akanji, Trippier. Of course, Ben White conceded 2 goals, so no points there. He had De Bruyne, Rashford, Martinelli, Almiron, and Mitoma. Great shout. You did talk about it. You did mention you're going for him. And he captained Haaland and went with Kane. And well, nothing to cry about on the bench. Maybe just if he had one of the 1 pointers, but not a big deal breaker there. So well done, Kapil, on your success so far. And he is currently 33rd right now in Trinidad. So not too bad at all. Well done. Well done, Caps. Of course, so I scraped over the 47. I went with Ward in the back. Trippier, Shaw, Mikalenko, as you can see, 0 points. Bailey, I went to Captain Willian, Salah, Almiron, De Bruyne. So no returns except for De Bruyne. It was a dry midfield. Nothing from Callum Wilson. And of course, Haaland bringing the most points, but he is template. So nothing much to gain there. So right now I'm sitting pretty at the 5 million mark out of 11. Not too upset with that. We're climbing slowly. So I just want to take a gander now at some of the games coming up, and of course, just some strategies and some plans that we can implement going forward. Right, yeah. Not too sure why Kapil. I might not. The only thing that will tempt me is that I know there's a potential blank game week coming up. If I'm not mistaken, 25, 26, I think some of the assets that we prize right now and that we cherish may have a blank game coming up. I will try to stay on top of that so we can release that news as soon as possible. But I believe there's a blank game week coming up very, very soon. Right? So that's that's where we are right now. So I'm not too sure yet, but we're gonna discuss that. We're gonna discuss some chips. I will have a poll up, the best chips right now to consider to use for the over the next 2 game weeks. That's something we want to discuss really quickly. Just taking a peek. Of course, we'll break all this down as the game weeks draw nearer and we do the episodes for that game week. So let's get straight. So right now, as it stands, my team for the game week 22, which is another double. I have a few players that are taking part in that double. Okay, so actually, not even a few, just so only Shaw, because of course it's Manu and Leeds that are doubling that game week. We also have so Manu and Leeds doubling that game week. I think City are doubling the following game week as well. So I'm not too sure if I'll destroy my whole team. I do have my 2 free transfers. I think Shaw is, of course, Rashford will be the best of transfer to make right now. They're playing against a out of form Crystal Palace, but Crystal Palace did hold their own in Sellers Park in the reverse fixture. So now but Man U have been very solid at Old Trafford, so you never know. And of course, Rashford has been very solid as well. And then, of course, they face Leeds. Leeds is a very tricky opponent, but again, Man U will be home. And I think Leeds are in for a long night, but they are doing well. They are on the up. They are getting their players to dig deep and produce some brilliant performances. They just have to try and get some goals now at the end of these results now. So let's see how that works. Leeds are playing Nottingham Forest. Mightn't be a bad shout. Me personally, I like to jump on a chance at points. And sometimes a lot of other FPL managers may not jump on it. So it might just give you a slight edge at brought in someone. Maybe the best Leeds asset potentially. Of course, you have Somerville, Bamford is back. You have Gelhardt. You have Nonto, the Italian, playing very well. He's someone that's definitely on my radar. I definitely want to bring him into my team. He's a solid player, and I watched the entire Leeds game last weekend so that I can do a proper scout on him, and I was very impressed with his athleticism, his tenacity. He was all over the park. Of course, Leeds just have to work on the end product. They need some goals, but not too bad a fixture to jump on. Leeds versus Nottingham. I think that's a decent shot. Of course, again, and then of course the other fixtures coming up that particular game week. We have Chelsea, Fulham again. We have Everton, Arsenal. That is a very that game now. Despite Everton's form, for some reason Everton always likes to turn up against Arsenal always. But this is a different season. Is a different Arsenal. Arsenal going away to all our bogey teams, the difficult games, and are bringing back W's. Not just a 1 point, but W's. So once again, of course, I will give Arsenal that favor. But in the back of my mind, I'm always remembering some very tough away days at Everton. No matter the form that Everton are in, always have a tough day out there at Goodison Park. Of course, another tempting match. Now, of course, bear with me. Wolves Liverpool. Now, of course, both teams are not in the best of form right now. Liverpool drew last week, no goal, nothing at all, no end product from anyone. And then, of course, Wolves lost to City, but they are working on the overall gameplay with the new manager. They are doing well, looking better. They just dropped the ball against City, but they're looking better. And I think they'll be up to it. They are hosting it at Molineux, and they'll be up for the task against a very out of form Liverpool. But of course, this could be a chance for Liverpool to prime up and get a W on the board. A chance for Gakpo to shine and prove that he was the right signing. A chance for Salah to show you that he can dig deep and lead the team well and get something. So some decent fixtures to look out for. Of course, we have Newcastle, West Ham. That's another one. I already have triple Newcastle, so I don't have any plans or intentions to drop or change. I'm already heavily invested in Newcastle, so that's not a problem for me. Of course, Brentford playing Southampton. Brentford are in the form of their life right now, playing very well. That could be another game to tackle. Right now, again, this is a short. That double game week is just 2 teams, so not much there. Let's take a quick gander now at 23. So 23 now. Okay, so 23, our double game weekers, we have Arsenal, of course, because Arsenal are playing Brentford at home first, and then they head off to go face City, but same at home. So both games are at home. Brentford are a tough outfit, but we did beat them away, so hopefully we could do the double on them. That will be a very interesting. I think that will take a lot out of the team, but there's a decent gap between a decent few days before the next game. So I think Arsenal should be all right fitness-wise, but of course they want to have everyone fit and primed and ready for City's game. And of course that, and when February starts, I think Champions League starts, and of course I think the following week City has their Champions League game. So the team that they put out against us could hamper what they do in the Champions League or vice versa. Of course, City are playing Villa before that. That should be another very interesting, enticing game. Aston Villa, another team with a new manager in Unai Emery. Unai Emery is doing well, doing better with Aston Villa. They're showing up at the back defensively. He has the players believing in themselves and playing well, and they are scoring. And he's getting Leon Daly to score an assist and getting Mings to defend well and stuff. So everyone's playing well. You're getting Watkins to score goals. And the midfield is solid. But of course, in City, and City are chasing it up. So anyone in the way, in their wrath, it's going to be in a bit of problems. But again, the options here. So Arsenal and City are the options for the double game week. We have a Merseyside derby. So that might be something very interesting to look at, something noteworthy. We have a Liverpool Merseyside derby. Again, both teams not in the best of form. Everton would have played us before this game and then go across to their neighbors for this match. Again, normally Everton are always up for these games. We saw last season, right? They were even last season, earlier this season, they weren't in the best of form, but held on for the draw. They caused a lot of problems. Again, these are the type of games that they will turn up for. But it's away. It's in the it is in Anfield, so it'll be a different mood. The fans at Anfield are very different. Hey, yeah, man, no problems, Kevin. Kevin, how much points you made, bro? How was the game week? Talk to me. So let's look ahead now at the potential strategies, what we could do. So of course for game week 22, as I pointed out, a few fixtures stand out to me, but of course you just want to tackle and take care of the double game week. So of course we have Man U and Leeds. So the first game of Man U, Crystal Palace, Man U, Leeds. I definitely think I need now some more Man U assets. Definitely think that. Let's see if the let's take a gander really quickly. If other managers feel the same way, let's take a quick gander there, because of course there's always a lot of transfer swings, transfer trends where people, following what is going on and they're jumping on. So as you can see here already, top transfers so far, we have Fernandes in, Cancelo out. We have Rashford in, Almiron out, which is interesting. I guess he has been off the boil for a bit. We have Shaw in, Martinelli out. So that means a lot of guys going for Saka, which makes sense. And as I say, that's Saka in, Mitrovic out. And then we have Nketiah in and Salah out. As I told you before, Nketiah's TSV is 5.7, and I'm sure that is going to rise. As soon as we play City, some of the fixtures are very decent on paper for Arsenal, and Nketiah has been doing very well, very, very well. And Gabriel Jesus' recovery is moving along rapidly, way more rapidly than we anticipated. So not too bad at all. Of course, some other names to note. Mitoma is also someone that has been transferred in. You have Odegaard, you have Tony, Mahrez. Now again, the City roulette is, Pep roulette, always something to be wary of, because you want to get excited, you want to jump on the players, but then he drops them after having a spectacular game. He overthinks it, brings on someone else, and especially where Champions League is looming very near, very cautious about picking certain City assets. I think the two I have so far are the safest in the bunch, and we'll see how they are affected by the rotation for Champions League. Of course, Shaw is another trend coming in there for Newcastle. As we would have mentioned on previous episodes, I think doubling up on Newcastle right now is the best option. Is the best option. Doubling up doubling up on the defenders. So it may come a point in time where I drop Wilson and I just bring in the extra, because Mykolenko has not been doing it for me. Bueno, all right, Totti just a fodder. I've not been doing it for me, and I have to try and get some solid defensive points as time goes along. So I'm just going to potentially take a look at some of the best options for the game in terms of transfers. So of course, as I would have mentioned before, Man U are playing a double and Leeds are playing a double. So right now, it won't discount Man U. Man U are doing really, really well. All the players are gelling well, they're doing well. Rashford is on fire. Now Rashford is 7.2. I can finally say, I'm tired of Salah. I gave Salah enough time. I could drop Salah. Salah is is 12.8, getting someone for 7.2, leaving me 5.6 in the bank there, solid. On top of my already 2.6, so not too bad. So I could make two solid transfers there. I could keep Shaw, keep Rashford, captain Rashford for the game week, of course, and then I could also just bring in a Leeds asset just to cover the game week. So it is something to consider. Now I have to also look ahead of how the transfers I make here affect me for the next game week, because of course we have Arsenal and City Dublin. So I already have my City assets, but I have no Arsenal assets. So to answer Kipi's question, a wild card in here may be a decent shot where I could try now and bring in some players that could cover both this game week and the next game week without having to destroy my team too much, without having to have to worry about preserving a transfer or taking a minus for a hit in the following game week. So that is a very good option. I can do that because I already would have used my free hit already. So I can do that. Or I can just, as I mentioned, use my 2 here, take a minus for next week, and just roll with it. And even probably a bench boost or something like that, or things like that. But I do like the idea of bringing in Rashford, captaining Rashford, and just having one solid Leeds player, even if it's to say just a striker, get rid of more is fairly cheap, and we go from there. But I just want to look at some of the United assets. So of course, the here is not a bad option. The defense is very solid. So I already have Shaw, and Wan-Bissaka is looking very well. But again, his attacking return obviously is not the same as Shaw. So it would be better to go with someone that has good attacking returns, or you know for sure you're gonna get the clean sheet, no problem. I may not necessarily double up on Manu's defense though. I don't think I would do that. It'll be better in attack. So as I said, Rashford is looking very good. Ericsson as well is looking very good. Casemiro will be back, and he has been showing he could produce some decent attacking returns recently. And of course, Weghorst is the only striker option. Would I jump on Weghorst? No. He's looking okay. He's playing the typical central forward role, but to me, he's still not linking up the play, I think, as good as Manu would have liked to bring in the other guys. The other guys, to me, still have a lot of work to do and to bring the ball, drive it to the box instead of them holding up the play and bringing them into the play. So I'm not seeing that yet. I'm not seeing that dynamic yet. If there are any Manu fans in the chat that could break it down better for me or seeing something I'm not seeing, sure, but definitely not seeing that. Right? Salah to Bruno, good shout. Good shout. I will definitely take that quickly. Salah to Bruno is a very good shout. The only thing for me, I rather Rashford. Rashford is in the best form right now. But of course, Bruno has been. Bruno scored today. He didn't score against us. That was the only thing. I think he assisted, if I'm not mistaken. But he scored today. Right? And he has been on a decent run of form, if not scoring, assisting, and he's everywhere. He is one of those guys that is everywhere, trying to score and push the attack. You see his passion for money. So he is a good shot. He's a very good shot. I can even just say, you know what, bring in Rashford and Almiron. Yeah? Almiron to Rashford. Right. Fair. Good shot. Good shot. Good shot. Yeah. And 2 transfers. Boom, and I can just, if I need be, -1 next week. Because as you guys can see, I have no Arsenal assets, which is FPL suicide right now. At least it is good to have at least one right now, even if it's just Saka or Nketiah. I think it's very good, especially when they're playing Everton. I think that is one of the best games to go really ham on our Arsenal asset right now. But for now, I'm okay without them. But I have a few things I need to fix. So that's why the wild card shout from Kapil there is a good shot. That's a good shot for sure. Right. So let's take a quick gander at Leeds. Let's see what Leeds up to, what Leeds players might be the most enticing. Because it is a double game week, and I always like to tackle the game week as best as I can. Even if it might not look too enticing, I like to tackle it. Just have one asset. Right. So of course, so I wouldn't jump on the defenders, but for me, Strujic, I had at the start. I was like him. He gets in and around the play. He gets assists. He has 60 points right now, so not too bad. But I would not suggest Leeds defensive assets. Of course, we stick with the attack. So let's say I did do this Salah to Bruno/Rashford. I don't. So I just did that alone. I just invested in. I just got one money player because I already have Shaw and I'm comfortable with Shaw and Bruno. So I want to know, oh, Rashford, and I say, okay, you know what, I'm not feeling Run anymore, or not feeling Wilson anymore. But let's say I'm not feeling William anymore, just saying, right? But William is a solid asset right now. But if I'm not feeling William per se, so he's 5.8, and I scroll and I say, okay, you know what? Of course, with the sales that I would have made, I could bring in a Rodrigo because I have enough in the bank. I could even look at Aronson. He has been solid recently, but of course no returns. But Rodrigo has been looking good, having some good games. And doubt his TSB is any right. So wow, not too bad. 8.5, way more than Nketiah. So people are bringing him in. Not too bad. I guess some people are tackling the double game week, so not too bad at all. His recent form not too bad. So of course 2 points, 2.6, 3, 2, 13. So his last big one would have been against Tottenham, right? That 4-3 thriller and game week 16. So not too hot, right? That's his biggest, his double score, and he had 6 against West Ham the other day. But as I said, Leeds are looking good. They're getting better, and because of the fixtures and the double game, it is not too bad a show. Like I could see them scoring against United. I could see them scoring against. It's very possible that they can open the scoring. Of course, you have Bamford, Greenwood, now Nonto. I really like Nanto. I was looking 5.0. So I can say, no, I'll just bring in Nanto. I can take out more. That way I can still keep Wilson against Wilson pots and have my 3 Newcastle assets. I can play a 3-4-3 or something like that. I could bench Bailey, or I could bench William, something along those lines, and have all 3 starts for me, and we go from there. So that's an option. That's an option for game 22. Right now, if we look ahead now at game 23, right now, game 23, as I said, we have, let me see. Right, Capri and I have one that not scoring points, Lil Martinelli. Yeah, Martinelli. Yeah. And no, are you tempted by Trossard? I am way more tempted to bring in Trossard, but of course his minutes are not. They're managed for now, as he just came. And it's never smart to bring someone when you get 2 minutes. But based on what I saw, because he helped in the build-up play for the last goal, like the winning decisive goal. I know we don't believe in what ifs, but in the next game he comes on maybe with 10 minutes to go, 50, even or less, 5 minutes to go. But instead of pre-assisting, he assists or even score. We saw his drivers run, and that was against Man. Imagine him coming on against a tired Everton if we have them on the ropes already. So I am very tempted by him, one of the Arsenal assets, but I guess Odegaard is a great shout. Odegaard, you can't fault Odegaard right now. Odegaard and Saka and the form of their life, and Nketiah. You can't go wrong. Nketiah is very cheap, very reasonable, solid player. So we can take a look at that now that we are discussing game week 23. So game week 23, the doubles, of course, City is doubling, and of course, Arsenal doubling in that particular game week. And I saw some announcements where they may have some other doubles. I think Manu is a potential for a double, but we're not too sure yet. Not too sure. But right now we're just focusing on Arsenal and City. So I told you I have as you can see, no Arsenal assets. And I think it is definitely time to jump on that train. Even the defensive assets are good. The goalkeeping asset is good. You can't go wrong with Ramsdale. You can't go wrong with someone like White or Zinchenko. Zinchenko was amazing last game week. Right, he's getting up in the attack, he's assisting, he's in everything. He's doing really well. Of course, the attacking side can't go wrong with Odegaard. You have Odegaard, Saka, you have Martinelli, you have Trossard, you have Xhaka and all even coming up with your odd goal here and there. But of course, the 2 main guys I think to target, if you don't already have one, will be Odegaard or Saka. And you can even captain them for this game week 23. I think they are great captain shots, but of course we'll go into more detail with captain selections on that particular game week. But Odegaard, Saka, great shots for that game week, I will say. And of course the greatest shout right outside of that pairing, Nketiah. Eddie Nketiah, 6.7, a steal of a deal. Can't go wrong with that. Doing well, doing the business. Mind you, only got the opportunity because of the Jesus injury. Arsenal did not they see it fit to go and invest in a striker or replace him or anything like that. They stuck to their guns. And Eddie Nketiah took the opportunity. We've seen many other players in this role drop it, flop it, and just not, they don't rise to the occasion. And then Eddie Nketiah, very proud of him, not just Arsenal player, but just looking at him as a youth academy player coming up the ranks and doing the work, went on loan to other clubs, came back, and he is a very good poacher. I watch his movement. When you look at other strikers, some of them rock back and wicked, but he has that anticipation and he has a way of deceiving the defenders because the defender will look back one next minute, but Eddie's going for the ball. He does not care who's in the way, he's chasing the ball, not the space, the ball. And I really I admire that about him. So he's a very good shout, of course, for a game in 23, and maybe even a cheeky differential captain because he for sure will play both games. He has to play both games. Right? Second Odegaard will play both games. There's no doubt about that. Their minutes may be managed, especially now with the introduction of the new centre back and of course with Trossard, we may see the minutes managed so that we can preserve them because of all, not just for the second game against City, but of course because we also have the ripple action as well in February. So a lot of football fastens to play, so we have to try and rotate and manage the players' fitness. Of course, City is the other team that we have in that are doubling in game week 23. But to be honest, I don't think I can convince anyone to pick anyone outside of any FPL manager to pick any player outside of Haaland, De Bruyne, or Edison. Simple as I don't think there's any. I cannot with good conscience tell you bring in Cancelo for that game, captain him, or that's something I would have done in the past. Captain Cancelo for a double game, right? I cannot convince you and say, well, you know what, Ake looking, you just don't know. Imagine I cannot even tell you, you know what, Mahrez for sure, Foden for sure. Yes, Mahrez has been doing really well recently, but we know that Pep loves to rotate and he likes to overthink. Remember, it's this double game week here, and then of course he goes and plays Champions League. So he has a tough game against Aston Villa, an even tougher game against us away. And then of course he has Champions League next week. So of course he has to manage the fitness of his players. And of course we know how injury has been forced him to bring in some of the younger players. So even someone like a Lewis, maybe a good shout, maybe. But again, his minutes may be managed, or potentially he may play both of the Premier League games, but not play Champions League. Right? Again, Pep, trying to think like Pep will give you a headache. But of course, they can't go wrong with De Bruyne. Look, Foden's even flag. So, they can't go wrong with De Bruyne and Haaland and maybe Mahrez because of form. But we've seen Pep punish people who are in good form. We've seen it already. But again, I can't convince you. I really can't. Right? Maybe Grealish, he has been showing that he's doing his due diligence. He's been professional coming off the field, putting in the minutes, doing that super sub role, doing very, very well. Can't go wrong with Grealish at all. So I don't know if Capil, anyone in the comments has anything else they want to add based on any other fixtures they're looking at targeting. You can look at the other fixtures that are not double game weeks in that game week 23. So of course, West Ham playing Chelsea, that's another London derby. Decent game, but again, West Ham not too bad, Chelsea not too bad. I might cheekily take a Bowen, in that game. A game that jumps out of me, Newcastle, Bournemouth might be by then, hopefully Newcastle would have broken their duck and started scoring again, and potentially could go away to Bournemouth and cause some trouble there. Wolves, Southampton, that's a very interesting one. That could be super boring, or super exciting because both teams need to start putting some wins on the board, especially Southampton. The relegation battle is very tight. So it just takes 2-3 wins and you're out of the relegation zone, and just stop and try not to lose for at least 5 games, pick up a point here, pick up 3 points here, and it's safe to go. We've seen Southampton bounce back from some very perilous relegation battles already. So I'm very keen to see how that game plays off. Of course, Fulham playing Nottingham, which on paper is fairly easy for them, and Fulham playing at home. So that's another one. So I might definitely be tempted to make sure I still have Willian or some type of Fulham asset. I dare say Leno is looking like a very good shout. Very good shout. He's on the cover some Fulham points. He's doing very well, putting some saves and getting the odd clean sheets. So might be a decent shot just to keep it. So now we can free up the attacking space, some other attackers that are rising, some very good attackers, such as Tony. Tony has been doing well recently, of course. We have Leicester Spurs. Interesting one again. Leicester, you just can't pinpoint and look. I just don't know. Leicester so weird. great one game, horrible next game, great one game. Or even when they're horrible, they try with no end product, no goals. And all of a sudden they can score 2 goals and hold on a big team like Brighton. So you never know, they might be up against Spurs. A lot of teams love to just derail Spurs and give Spurs a world of trouble. So it'll be very interesting to see how that game plays out. And well, of course, our double games, of course, City, Aston Villa, of course, Arsenal playing City. But Leeds, Manu again, so playing in the double and coming back again, so not too bad. Liverpool, Everton. So of course, maybe. No, by then I would have gotten rid of Salah because I've given up and I'm not interested anymore. So for some people who would have gotten rid of Liverpool assets, they may watch that game from behind the couch thinking that watching Everton. But we've seen in the past, bad form, good form, Everton always find a way to step up against Liverpool. Always, 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 always. Right? Yeah, of course, Kepi. We know that. We know that. And Man U not that great defensively. I mean, when the Saka's back and showing up that side, he's doing well. But they are conceding. The hair has a few mistakes in them, and the way leads like to press and play. But they have to be very careful with Man U on the counter because it could be a bloodbath. It could be a goal fest, especially form that Rashford is in recently. They need to be super duper careful. So yeah, and by then we would have seen the first round, that first battle. We would have seen how they played against each other in the first double game week. So we'll know how to go from there. But by then I would have had Rashford and Shaw. Because I'm confident. I think I will go forward with the Rashford buy and I'll just bring in one elite asset, bring on two. Or just go with the triple manu. Triple manu might be the safest bet and maybe go just single Newcastle, go with double Newcastle, start to reduce my Newcastle assets because they fall off the boil a bit. But again, something I always like to take note of people when it's not just FPL, but you're following all the football. Remember, some of these teams have European football still. So Newcastle right now in the semi-final, right, of the Carling Cup, right? So that's most of the extra. I think they're out to the FA, but they have the Carling Cup semis. So that's the most extra football that they have. They could field enough players for that, right? They have some time. But Manchester still, of course, they are in fourth place now, trying to chase the league, trying to chase Newcastle. And they're also in the semis of the Carling Cup and I'm used to the FA Cup. Don't quote me, I think they are. So they have 4 different tournaments that are in different competitions that they're in. So they still have to try and manage and keep the fitness of these players. So you never know. The top 4 right now could change. It could change. Still are doing the business in the transfer window to try and have that second team that they can feel in Europa League. I don't think we'll chase Europa League as hard as we've been doing before because right now we are in the driver's seat for Champions League position right now. But it's always good to have that backup and we love to win some silverware. So I always say chase. Everyone say in the tournament is there to win, is there to chase. So that is something to consider because City have not won Champions League and they are definitely again trying. They're going to try again another year of trying. And we've seen this in the past where they are in decent position in the top 3, but then opportunity knocks on the door in the form of a Champions League final or semis, and they put all their efforts there and then fall short in the league. So again, this look out for these things. These things can happen. So use that when you're looking at some of the FPL assets on your teams. So as much as Newcastle are falling off the boil, I will definitely still try to keep a few assets there. The teams that are in the top 10 right now that do not have the extra tournaments to play, I'm looking at them because they could come and hop, skip, and pick some of these teams, especially a team like Villa. I'm watching teams like that. Brentford are doing well. Brentford have everything to play for in this top 10 and push for a very high finish and try to get European football. So again, use that going forward when you're trying to pick and sort out your players, right? So I guess I'll wrap it up there. So this one was short, just a look ahead at the games that we have coming up. I want to thank Kapil and Kevin for your great company. Of course, I will put some clips about on social media. Don't forget we're trying to get people to jump on for the F1 Fantasy. It's not open yet, but we are starting to advertise it on the Instagram page as well. So just anyone who wants to jump in, stay tuned and we'll put up the league codes. Of course, Champions League is coming up. We have a team, so our show we'll do some show and some content on that. And I'm following everything else. Crickets is going really well now with IPL coming up, CPL. We have a lot of action coming up in this year for all the sports content. So stay tuned and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We have made our goal of 1,000, so now we're just working on producing more content for you guys and trying to be visible as possible for you guys. And of course, we are accessible to you guys. Anytime you want to jump on the show, DM me. You want to be a part of any of the segments that we have, any of the side shows that we have, feel free to message, send an email, and all our contact information is on the page, right? Just come through. So Capito, thanks so much again, man. If you want to say anything, like anything, any advisement. So you heard my plans, the transfer plans. I know you said you were saying Bruno, Salazar Bruno. Oh yeah, easy. Anything else you want to jump in with? Hey, look on. Let this throw. It doesn't give my quick 5 minutes. Hold on. So,
What's up?
Yeah.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
I was now wrapping up, but go ahead and
Okay,
you want to
okay.
jump in with anything.
All right.
Because so what I all I
go ahead.
covered really was I just looked ahead at the 22 and 23. I was looking at the teams that of course are doubling, and of course some of the teams that have decent fixtures, the single game week teams. And I was just looking at some transfers that potential transfers that I can do to for my team specifically. Right? As you can see, I have no Leeds assets. I only have one United asset. So I was discussing with the chat. I think a good shout would be maybe a Salah or an Almiron for a Rashford. Now, Kepi was saying Salah to Bruno is the easier one, of course, easy. Anyone easy because both of their prices way lower than Salah's prices. And I was even thinking about more to Nonto because you know me, I like to always tackle the double game week. I love it. And they're playing Palace, not too bad. And then City could concede. City are not the greatest defensively, they could concede.
True.
Just to put an investment there. And of course, Arsenal playing City. I was saying with that, I have no Arsenal assets, as you can see. So that's something I will try to rectify. But as I said, I'm not worried because to me, their purple patch starts after the City game. They have a great run of fixtures on paper. And for me, that is when I will go ham, maybe bringing Eddie, bringing Saka, that kind of thing, even triple. I might and go very hard on Arsenal for at least 6 game weeks. But of course, that is all based on fitness and whatnot. But so far, I'm not super concerned that I don't have any Arsenal assets. Maybe just against the Everton game, maybe. But talking about City now, so City also doubled in 23. I cannot in good conscience, Shemi, watch you or watch KP, my good friends, right? Watch Javed, all these guys, and say, well, Cancelo or Akanji or Gundogan.
I won't suggest that. You can't.
Right now, you cannot go outside of Edison, De Bruyne, or Haaland. You can't. Maybe Mahrez. Maybe
Mahrez is a good shout. Good shout.
Right? Grealish is a good super sub, And then one more point before I take over. What I was looking at too, City have their fixture run starts to get very sticky. So they have that double in February. So they play. They are playing us. They're playing Villa on the 12th, us on the 15th. Then the next week is Champions League, right? And so Pep likes to overthink and underthink and all these things. So all that too can affect the assets that you have. I think the safest person right now is Haaland. Not even De Bruyne, only once, and Edison. 2 safest players right now. Right? Because I've seen him. Now, thankfully, what I've noticed with him, I've seen him drop De Bruyne for Champions League. Right? I've seen him do that. He's not playing with Champions League, and he play him in the league instead. So I will cool with that. Right, so any plans for you? What's your plans? You looked ahead as yet for the double game weeks?
So you touch on the real points, right? And I wish we could do it step by step instead of just dumping and then thing. But that's okay. No, I didn't really per se look ahead too much because I did play my wild card recently, and I sort of future planned, right? And just general tips I would say is this week here is FA Cup, Carabao Cup games, right? So those fixtures could impact 22, 23, 24 in terms of delays, postponements, blanks. Even I think Brent Cullen said 25 also could affect, right? Not
yes,
sure.
I mentioned the blank. 25 I did.
Right?
25 is potentially blank,
Yeah, potentially blank, I think, for Newcastle, right?
Yeah, correct.
So a lot of people, or in my opinion, I think we need to start looking towards if you're chasing rank or versus maintaining rank, right? So there's different ways to play FPL, right? As I realize it now, as I am chasing rank versus somebody who started well, continued, and now maintaining, right? You have to consider different factors. I could play a riskier side versus somebody who's trying to maintain rank and needs to pick up the informed players. So whereas we had Almiron all the time, he was the informed player scoring goals, scoring points as an enabler, so to speak, right? He is now come off the boil, right? And now keep maintaining rank would mean having to sell him to move on to somebody else who is informed, i.e. Rashford, right? For a prime example. And if you don't have Rashford, you're missing out in terms of maintaining rank. Chasing rank, however, having Rashford might necessarily make you significantly gain rank, but it's also good to get the points behind your back, right? So look at informed players, those are key. Look at the fixtures coming up. So 22 has good fixtures, right? Doubling up for, I believe is you mentioned before the song, I can't remember who it was
23 or 22?
No, 22 is Man United.
Yes,
right?
Leeds. Yeah, so Leeds
and Leeds,
yeah,
right?
Leeds and United. Leeds and United.
So
correct.
I mean, looking at that, how is the team structure, right? So generally speaking, for everybody who watching or who will watch, right? How is the team structure going forward? You have a week to think about it. Do you rip up your team, play a wild card, or is your team in a good position where you just make 2 or 3 transfers, a -4 or 1 or maybe a -8 if you're mini wild card kind of way, right? So Leeds has good. Leeds are a pretty good defensive team. They're good at attacking side in a sense. They create chances. So the attackers, i.e. Somerville, Nato, Rodrigo, Bamford is back in the mix. Could potentially score points in his double game week, right? So it's always good to at least have cover a position and get one person, right? And I think Nato plays as a striker.
Yeah, Nonto's a striker, yeah.
Nato.
Yeah,
a striker.
Nonto, yeah.
Striker, right? A striker. So he can ideally be a third striker because he gets minutes, right? He's super cheap, right? He could potentially be a third striker if you can trying to get rid of somebody, right? I find wasting your time. And now you have your cover your leads. Looking at Man United, you need to have at least 2 Man United assets going into this game. Now the easy switch for everybody who has Salah still, as in me and you, who still have Salah.
You and I.
Right? We kept the faith, right? It could pay off, it can't pay off, right?
It still have Wolves, yeah.
It still have teams to play, right? So the easy suggestion for that would be, if you don't have Rashford, sell Salah. If you're willing to sell him, if you don't have any money in the bank and you want to change up your side a little bit, easy position to take is sell Salah, get Rashford, right? The chasing the rank is getting Bruno.
Right.
Bruno could be a higher upside in terms of EO, etc., right? So he could be a higher upside in terms of jumping the ranks, a more differential pick than Rashford. So, and then there's also Shaw. But I don't see myself back in Man United to keep 2 clean sheets in this game week.
Okay.
Right? I mean, it could happen, Could be wrong, because they have been better defensively recently. But I don't see them keeping 2 consecutive clean sheets in this game week. I think it's too short of a turnover. And I think Champions League starts this week after this game weekend.
Yeah, Europa and Champions League start, yeah.
After
because we have Europa League
too.
and we have Champions League, yeah.
Right? Yeah, so I don't think Man United will want to risk playing their full back line maybe in terms of Varane and who partners Varane now? Martinez.
Yeah, Martinez, correct.
Yeah, so you mightn't play them back to back, but you never know. It could be wrong. I could be wrong, right?
Yeah.
But have to money assets. That's a given. Get 2, right?
I agree.
Rashford at least because he's on real form.
Great form. He scored today.
Yeah.
He scored yesterday.
Yeah.
Since today, he scored yesterday.
Yeah, he's in great form. So I would say get him. And the point about Arsenal plays Everton next, who sacked their manager. Doesn't have a proper direction right now. In plenty turmoil, right? We need to be seeing to appoint a manager before the game week starts, right? Arsenal plays Everton, then Brentford, which is a hard game, admittedly, right? And then they also have going forward after that Aston Villa. So I don't see the apprehension in getting Arsenal assets right now. Jared, especially for you, that you don't have any, it's easy to get one. And the best person to get is right now is Saka. right? In terms of just Arsenal were playing like how Liverpool played when they won the league in terms of grinding points out, right? That game they won against it was Tottenham recently. It was Tottenham.
United was Tottenham. United was it
I think
3-2?
it was United.
Yeah,
Right.
United
That's
was
a game that not necessarily they're not supposed to win, but it was pretty close,
Yeah.
and they ground out the victory in the end, right?
Correct.
Which
correct.
shows good stature in terms of mentality, right? And Saka is the main person behind that. I feel like one of the main people. So switch from Martinelli to him because Martinelli is a bit shaky right now in terms of point scoring. He's playing well, but you're not scoring points, right? So Saka is a person to have, and Nketiah is also good because Jesus hasn't fully come back at the full yet, and hopefully, you could tell me if I'm wrong or not. Hopefully, Arteta doesn't remove Nketiah from the starting 11 as soon as Jesus is back fully fit, right?
No, I don't see that. I don't see that.
I
But we
hope
still
not.
have time.
I hope not, right? So if Nketiah keeps his position, at least the next 3 game weeks, right, is a good shout to have because you're rotating Haaland, you have your boy from Leeds, the striker, and you have Nketiah, right?
Yeah, Nketiah.
None,
Can go right.
So that's 3 good strikers that's starting, have goal scoring opportunities, right? And then you don't have to put plenty pressure on the defense scoring points anymore. Your midfield to be beefed up a little bit more, right? You be 4 in the midfield, 3 in the back, right? And you have Trippier in the back, you have as a given, and 2 other people.
Yeah.
And your team structure set up there nice, right?
Correct.
So the tips for 22 and 23 is don't chase positions, but don't chase your position, but put yourself in place to get the points that are available to you, which is i.e. players that inform, try to get them in your squad and play them. And hopefully I think Rashford will be a good triple captain option.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Very good option, right?
Yeah. Him or Bruno.
Could be a very, very, very lucrative shot.
Bro, return. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Could be good. And then
Sure.
looking forward, right? People sleeping on where is this team, boy? Who grounded out results recently, boy? I'll tell you. Aston Villa.
Yes. Well, I
Right.
mentioned Aston Villa. Yeah. For
Yeah.
Sure.
They grounded out some results recently since Emery came into the park.
Yes.
And
yes.
I would say there's a cheeky shout for the new left back because I think Digne is out injured. Alex Moreno, who's 4.5.
Yeah.
They could possibly do well in terms of getting some points behind some players, right? There's like a differential picks. And
Yeah.
I think they sold Ings, so now you for sure have to pick Oli Watkins.
Watkins,
He is there. He's their main man, right?
Correct.
On the topic of Man City, who doubles in 23, they play both Aston Villa and Arsenal. Now the Arsenal game will be the one of the title deciders, right?
Of course.
Pretty early February. It's pretty early in February, but if Man City drop points, right, it opens up a bigger gap that Arsenal just need to maintain a pace. Don't need to lose. Don't need to get overexcited, but once they maintain the pace, they could secure the bag and collect the Premier League. But City will be guns a-blazing, so I expect goals in our game. I target Arsenal and Man City attackers, right? And just bear in mind with Champions League starting back and Europa League starting back, Mahrez is a Champions League player, right? Pep loves to bench Mahrez when Champions League is around and plays him in the Champions League. I don't know for what reason, but Mahrez is in form. It has happened before in the past. I have a bad feeling it'll happen again in terms of Mahrez in all his hot form, and Pep is just like, okay, no, I'll play him in the Champions League. I rather play him in that, right? And that just means who do you pick from Man City other than Haaland? Because they sold Jesus from before. They have Alvarez up top, but do you bank on 2 City attackers versus missing out on Nketiah? You have a few other mid or budget options at scoring goals. Do you miss out on those and punt on Alvarez to start? I don't believe in that risk, right?
Sure.
So target the City assets or choose them wisely, I would say, rather than target. Choose them wisely, right? Bruno's now getting back in. It's not Bruno. Bernardo is getting back into the fold as of recently,
Yes.
right? Even though his contract's expiring, I think at the end of the summer, but he came back into the fold. Foden, I think, is out injured, but he may be back for the Arsenal game, right? But he isn't seeing minutes, so I wouldn't necessarily pick him. So Mahrez is a safe option for now. But once Champions League start, just be wary of the rotation risk for him. Grealish is also somebody I would say to have in your back burner if you don't have any other options, right? And just stay away from the City defense unless you're buying one of the cheaper ones. So just have a rotation or a little option, because if you have money to burn and you want to just have a fifth or fourth defender, get him. Get either Ake, Walker, Diaz, whoever is the one you want to choose. Get them if you have money to burn, and have them rotating as your 4 defensive option, because you're trying to play a 3-4-3, right? You know, City not defending well right at the moment. You're not keeping out goals, right? So don't bank on them keeping clean sheets per se, right? They have too much hardish fixtures to really, to fight up with right now. I think Spurs will score against them. Arsenal will score against them for sure. All right, unless Pep and Arteta play some kind of mind games and just 0-0 stalemate kind of. Klopp and Pep used to do it.
Yes.
It could be like that too, right? But I expect goals because City is chasing them right now, so I expect goals. So yeah, I think 22-23 is exciting in terms of you have your wild card. There's a potential to play a wild card to set up yourself to hit the last stretch in the next half of the FPL season. And also there's a lot of good fixtures, plenty players in form, plenty players who you didn't expect to performing, and plenty players who you expect to perform not performing, right? And that goes down the part of budget. What is the budget? Who the players you like and who you can catch on form at the right time. That's a winning. So I would say take your time. You have a week to decide. About a week and a little more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
About a week. A week to decide. Take your time. Figure it out. Watch our channel. Try to get some tips, and good luck because it's gonna be fun.
All right. I want to thank Shemi for jumping on. So yeah, guys. Take a watch on the episode and drop a like, share, comment. Of course, as I mentioned before, we have a lot of other content coming up because all the other sports are going to be starting very soon. F1 testing starts in February and the season officially starts in March. So as soon as that code drops, I've had a lot of people messaging me and whatnot, hey, you want to jump on the F1, So hopefully the F1 league will be way bigger. And it looks like it'll be based on the message I'm getting. And the interest I'm getting, a lot of people have never even watched F1. So I'm showing them some channels, guiding them to where to go. And so, yes, it should be interesting. Should mention, of course, and paying attention a lot to cricket as well. I know it's far away, but I want to be on top of that idea. When I come and watching certain series, I'm watching certain players, I'm following, I'm monitoring trends. So I've been watching the ladies, the Youth World Cup going on right now.
The Women's World Cup.
It's going good.
Unfortunately, West Indies out, but
yes.
Yeah.
But
and there's also women's IPL. I saw some franchises.
I saw the franchises. Yes.
I think
Lucknow. Yeah.
I think Delhi. RCB bought one as well. I think Mumbai bought one as well. So I think it would be good.
There's about 6, if not
about 6 teams. I think it'll be good. I think it'll be real.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it's India. It is one of the biggest countries in the world. They will get a crowd.
Yeah.
That'd
be good.
Big up Kapil. Thanks for the feedback, Kapil. Thanks, Sean, for coming through. So, of course, guys, like, share, subscribe. Don't forget, tell your friends. And we're trying to build up the subscribers. We're at 1,000. Rocking back here. We're good with that. But tell people about us. If you want to jump on the show and be a part of any segments, feel free. Right? And you have some time. So, do some research. Watch all the content creators. Go on and look at the fixture, difficulty chart, all these things. You have enough time now to do some research. We'll be back with you again very soon next week to do a deeper dive into 22 and 20 respectively. Right? On behalf of the crew, good night, and we'll see you all in the next one. Take care.